Chocolate is one of America's favorite treats, but a CBS News investigation found the cocoa used by candy giant Mars is harvested by impoverished children in Africa. Debora Patta gets a closer look in this exclusive report.
Laboring in the blistering heat here as young as 6, slicing the grass with lethal ease, their machetes nearly half the size of the smallest among them. These Ghanaian children are harvesting the cocoa that ends up in America's best-loved chocolates like M&Ms and Snickers. Instead of going to school, they are learning that sharp blades cut deep and big corporations make promises they seldom keep. We traveled across Ghana's remote cocoa belt, visiting small subsistence farms that supply U.S. chocolate giant Mars, and found children working on every one of them. Mars boasts about rescuing thousands of children who are listed as beneficiaries of what it calls their robust monitoring system that keeps them off plantations and in schools. CBS News obtained copies of these lists from a whistleblower.
We're going to try and find some of the children on these lists and see if the information checks out.
Our first stop, 15-year-old Munira.
And your name, I think, is on this list. Is that you?
Here she is, toiling away on her family farm, her life since she was just 5 years old. School's a luxury she's hardly ever been.
I feel sad. I want to be a medical doctor, but they don't have money to support me.
The family harvested only one bag of cocoa the entire year. A 140-pound sack fetches around $115. Last year, field supervisors contracted by Mars
And this is all they gave you?
gave Munira a
Nothing else.
backpack and school books with the slogan, "I am a child, I play, I go to school." In the nearly 18 months since then, nobody has checked to see if she is still in school. This cocoa field supervisor for the past 13 years spoke out on condition we hide his identity.
Personally, I've made lists before. I've made up lists before. And I can say on authority that almost every data is scoop.
Or incorrect?
It's not correct. Nobody has come back to check as to whether it's true or not.
CBS News spoke to nearly a dozen children on that list used by Mars. None of them were in school, nor had they been regularly monitored
No backpack?
to ensure they attended
backpack?
classes.
No one came here ever?
The few children that do go to school, instead of pencils, are carrying machetes.
Put your hands up if you work on the cocoa farms.
All these students told us they harvest cocoa either before or after school. We have repeatedly asked Mars for an interview. They declined every request.
Hi, good morning.
A security guard asked us to leave their headquarters when we went there.
Can you please leave?
Hi.
And we even went to the CEO's home to try and get answers.
No, sorry, he's not here.
US human rights lawyer Terry Collingsworth also wants answers. He's filed a proposed class action lawsuit for consumer fraud against American chocolate manufacturer Mars and others.
They're telling the public that we're rehabilitating this kid, and then they're cynically coming here and just checking a box, and the kid is back working the next day.
He has collected statements from Ghanaian children working for Mars suppliers,
Okay. Thank you for being very brave.
like these little boys, doing the back-breaking work of adult men. Tiny hands struggling with the dangerous work of hacking open cocoa pods, the long blade narrowly missing this 5-year-old's fingers. The owners of Mars are the third wealthiest family in the US, raking in billions every year, much of it from chocolate. Billions made on the backs of these young children.
And we are grateful to have Debora Patta joining us. It's an amazing piece, Debora. Let's start with Mars pledged a long time ago to stop this. Why haven't they?
They were part of a group of the big chocolate companies that vowed to eradicate child labor. It was called the Harkin-Engel Protocol, signed with the assistance of Congress, and they missed every deadline. It was 2005, 2008, 2010, and then I think 2020, now 2025. Every single one was missed. Partly, I don't think there is the will. It is a hard problem on some levels. It's also not a difficult problem. And it just takes a huge concentration of not so much resources, but effort. And that effort has just not been put in because I think people essentially don't seem to care. They pay lip service to it, but it never happens.
I want to ask you about that effort in a minute, but Munira, you have been in touch with her. What's the current status of her story?
Well, she was the young girl in our piece who, 15 years old, has been working since she's 5, desperately wants to go to school. And in fact, 2 representatives from a company contracted by Mars visited her after our report, played our report for her, tried to intimidate her. And, you know, she told us that her mother did, in fact, that they wanted her to retract some of what she said. So a cease and desist order has actually been sent to Mars from the lawyer representing her as part of this case, saying, you know, she should not be involved and intimidated in any way.
And how do the parents sort all of this?
The parents, it's interesting because people say, well, the parents know. These are family farms. Ghana is made up of small subsistence farms. It's not big plantations. Think tiny little farms. The mother we spoke to said it breaks her heart that her child isn't going to school. She wishes, but they simply cannot afford it. It's expensive. Transport costs money. Books cost money. Getting there. And if the family doesn't work, they starve. They can't afford to hire laborers. So it's this vicious cycle of poverty.
And you were talking earlier about what it would take to solve this problem. What would it take?
It takes a few things. First of all, money. They need to pay the farmers more. It's $115 for one sack, 140 pounds. Some families make that for the entire year. They simply need to, I think consumers would be thrilled, personally, to know that an extra few cents of the chocolates they're buying is going to send a child to school. They need to pay the farmers for. They also need to help with schools. These kids don't need school books. They need schools. They need schools that are set up that they can go to school and not have to travel long distances to get there. One mother said to me, you can give me a bicycle and then my child can cycle to school, which I thought was quite innovative.
Yeah. Debora Patta, who goes all over the world for us, and we're so grateful. And it's a pleasure to say thank you in person. Thank you, Debora.
John.